Hi, and welcome back to Rowing Friends. Today we get to speak with Dan Anderson and talk to him about his adventures in rowing camp in Orlando. We hope you enjoy this episode, and if you want to listen to Dan's original episode, check out episode 17 from last year. We hope you enjoy this episode of Rowing Friends. Dan, we're talking shop about.
That's yeah. Is
Okay.
it a bright burn or just in general?
Yes.
Nice.
Bright and burn. Yep.
Right,
Nice, nice. You're not going on Cape for it, right?
Not going out, but there is a virtual option that
Yeah.
Adrien was just talking about. So I might do that because it's early in the morning, get it out of the way. It's 1,000 meters. I really
Yeah,
have
I
no
know.
excuse.
Yeah. I had a friend who's a master's who lives in the Rochester area. A couple years ago, him and his wife are both former rowers. You're never really a former rower, right?
Yeah.
They decided to sign up and he didn't realize that there was a master's event for 1,000. So he did the 2K. And then was like, man, you mean I could have done a 1K and saved myself
Yeah.
some pain? But yeah, they had fun when they went out there.
Yeah. Wait,
So.
is that the one that I met? So
Andy?
I'm trying to remember. So I think is his wife. She was a coach for.
Yeah. Yep, she
Okay.
coached at Brighton for a little bit.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. Yep.
Yep, you met. Yeah, Sarah, you met. I
Mhm.
think you met them.
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
at our boathouse or something.
Yeah, I
Super
think
interesting.
yeah, they
And you were
came out.
there.
Yeah, they because I really wanted to say hi to Sarah.
Yeah.
But they came out for a scrimmage. Brighton came
Mhm.
out for a scrimmage and did some work. And I think I don't know if Burnt Hills went out there or just they came to
Maybe.
us. But yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
So
So you're in Nashville now.
I'm in Nashville. I don't know, you can't
Okay.
really see it, but I'm in my brother-in-law's home office, which is
Guitars in the background.
yeah, that's to say
You're in Nashville.
there's there's probably a dozen or so guitars in this room. Yeah. It's pretty.
Cool.
Yeah, he works in the industry, so it's very convenient. Like,
Oh.
so yeah, that's why they moved to. They're originally from New York, but that's why they ended up moving to Nashville.
There's a
Okay.
lot of
Cool.
Rochester. Well, like we always say, like Rochester South. So that's like
Yeah,
Nashville's one of those places too, where you can find people from like Western New York, or even from just New York in general.
yeah. There's
But
not a lot of people. It's growing so much. So they've been out here about 10 years, and there's not a lot of people in their neighborhood that are like Nashvillians. Is that what you call them? Like
Mhm.
from Nashville. Yeah, a lot of transplants, and their area is really grown tremendously. Um, so we're trying to get convinced to come down here. Nashville rowing is probably about 20 minutes away, so they're always putting pressure on. You could row year round down here. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's like only 32 degrees this morning, but um, it's not iced over like it is back home. So
Oh
you
my
can get on the
gosh.
water.
Yeah.
I know.
So what other than your job, what would keep you in New York, or what would make you want to move there? What was it a
I mean,
selling
it would only be
features
for
other
them,
than that?
right? It would only be for them. It's think what would be I like our summers in upstate New York. I
Mhm.
can't handle like that 90 degree and 90% humidity like, for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the big limiting factor for me to move away
Yeah.
from and in the tornadoes because they do live
Oh
in
yeah.
Tornado Alley. Yeah. So and then other than that, I think wouldn't mind moving to get more water time, but yeah,
Yeah.
those are big limiting factors.
So Oak Ridge is where SRA is this year.
Yeah.
Is that in the vicinity,
No, so
sort of?
this
No.
is considered central. I know
Okay.
it's so not only is it not in the vicinity, I think it's like
Hmm.
3 hours away. It's 3 hours east. It's in a different
Okay.
time zone.
Oh.
So Nashville's in the central time zone. Yeah, the eastern part is where like Oak Ridge.
Hmm.
is that closer to like Knoxville area? I'm really bad.
Yeah, Oak Ridge is close to
Oh, okay.
Knoxville. Yep, yep.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah. So I just got the email that SRAs has like this hotel arrangement, so I got to start planning
oh yeah.
just in case
Oh,
I
we
haven't
get
been there and
entries.
gonna
oh
date
wow, Oak
myself.
Ridge is super close to Knoxville.
Yeah.
I knew it was near a Ville. I just couldn't remember which one.
And that's where the head of the hooch is, right? I think not Oak Ridge,
Oh,
but
okay.
well, that's Chattanooga. It's kind of the same. They're all closer together than we are. where I
I
am right now.
totally didn't know that. Like in my head, I kept thinking Oak Ridge was on the because like Tennessee is like a big state. Like to drive across the state because my cousin lives in Knoxville, and to drive across the state is like I mean
Yeah,
to drive like east to west
east
takes
to west.
if you to drive through the state you can get through the state like in no time. Like it
Yeah,
takes
north to south is a
north and
very
south. I mean it's a
yeah
slim state, but it goes super.
yeah.
And for some reason, I kept thinking Oak Ridge is on the other side, but Oak Ridge is 30 minutes from my cousin. So like now I'm gonna have to go to Head of the
Yeah.
Hoot.
Yeah.
It's like I can stay at her house. I didn't even know that. Learn something new every day.
Mhm.
I don't just had a kid run in. Look, go ahead and get showered, Mikey.
Yeah, we're visiting. It's actually it's our niece's birthday. That's why we came down here. It's her birthday tomorrow, so we visited her, and we were kind of telling them that I was doing this podcast, and they can't be their normal selves on a Sunday morning. They need to kind of keep it a little cool, a little quiet. They're pretty loud.
It's stomping around out there.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
you hear stomping
Slamming
around,
doors,
yeah.
like just when you start something like this, that's when everybody wants to come in and ask you a question. And what's doing that? No.
That and the hockey game's on, so they're
Oh
all
yeah.
watching the hockey game in the
They're
living
watching the
room.
hockey
So
game downstairs. So I was like, can just keep it low, like and no screaming and
if you hear screaming in the background, that's exactly what's going on. So
I'm like, if you guys been watching the Olympic coverage, I've been really disappointed with how like it's just hard to continuously watch something unless you record it. Like
oh yeah.
a lot of commercials and just like, going to like that Olympic song. I'm so sick of that Olympic song because that screen
Yes.
that they kind of put up like if you're watching live, like there's like times where they'll just put
Yeah.
the screen and have the song going and I'm just like, what is with this coverage? And
So if it's the same song I'm thinking of, I think John Williams, the guy that did like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, I think he composed that. So I can only imagine the royalties he's getting after this
Sure.
Olympics. To your point, of like it's on every
not
30
2
seconds.
seconds. Oh, I knew that.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it,
Curling. Yeah, curling has been the one that I've seen a lot of people say that they've never seen so much coverage for, and that was on our TV all day yesterday, pretty much.
it's nice though, like if you have the Peacock app, it's like you can kind of choose your sport to watch, and I mean, you can literally in 2026 watch any sport. They're covering everything, whether there's commentary, whether it's live or not, but you can actually see it. It's kind of cool. Hope
Did
they
you see
continue that.
the mountaineering one?
We watched that yesterday.
Yes,
Like,
that was
they
cool.
like ski up the hill with like special it like has like grippies on it, and then they take
Yeah.
them off and pack them up, and then they go up the stairs, and then they plop them back on and pull the little doodads off, and I was like, wow, I'm like that is
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a sport I could do, right? I'm not very coordinated, I think, but I think that was the question. So question for both of you that kind of came up. We're asking like if you were to choose a winter sport to do at the Olympics,
Boy.
what would you do?
I mean, I think everyone wants to say curling because it looks doable. I mean, I was even showing Hannah that I could get into that deep lunge,
Good
like
for you. I
well,
couldn't.
not on ice. I haven't tried it. But I was like, look, I think I could do that,
Yeah.
know. But it is like, they say it's like kind of like chess too, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That
Curling.
one and curling and I don't know. Maybe one of the luge bobsled things. I don't know, because that obviously looks a lot easier than it definitely is
It's
not that
so
easy.
if you're ever up in Lake Placid in the winter, go on their website, but because that's where the bobsled team trains, so they have a training site up
Yes.
there. For a fundraiser, they put an experienced driver in, and then they put 3 paying passengers,
Newbies, yeah.
and you get to go down the course. So I did that
You did that,
a
okay.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Utterly terrifying. We're only going like 40 miles an hour. They do 80, so we're doing half speed. But I distinctly remember like we went into one of the turns, and like I looked to my left, and all I saw was the ice, and looked to my right because you're like at a 90-degree angle. It was
Yeah.
exhilarating but utterly terrifying. But I do recommend trying it if you're ever up there and want to do it. Yeah. So
I would choose speed skating.
yeah.
I like that. I just think that's
Lo-
because it could, like the translation between endurance sport and
Mhm.
sport. I wouldn't be a sprinter. I would
I was gonna say long or short.
long, like the
Yeah.
10K, like like that.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah. The
I
short
can imagine that.
terrifies me watching there. It's like
Well,
roller
you know
derby.
what?
Yeah.
They have the ones that you have to have your hand on the back of the person. So I don't know what that's called, like group speeds.
Yeah.
That's very much like rowing, right? You got to
Yeah.
be in sync. You got to be moving
Yeah.
together. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And I don't know what the name of it is. I can't snowboard. I can ski, but I can't snowboard. I probably could snowboard. I haven't tried it, but um I think that the one where they put everybody like against each other and like
Oh yeah.
that one
Like,
would be kind of cool. Although like you totally like I like the idea of racing and other like I
yeah.
wouldn't want to do any of the ones where you like go like the artisty kind of like down the hill and you got to do the flips and twists and that kind of thing. Although I did take ice skating as a kid. That is a really, really like the figure skating, like just the amount of time that you'd have to put into that. And it's
Yeah.
not just like learning about how to skate. Like they're actually like gymnasts too.
Oh,
I spent there's
100%.
been a bunch of time like on the land, like on
Yeah.
trampolines and all kind like
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do all that. I remember like when I was taking ice skating, my favorite thing was spinning. Spinning just feels so good. Like I would love to have learned enough to like actually compete. Like that would have been fun, but that's a really
Oh,
super
I
technical.
right. And I was thinking about that watching it this year, right? So hockey players obviously wear helmets. The speed skaters wear helmets. Anybody on ice. Figure skaters are doing these flips and jumps and being thrown and yeah, no helmets.
No helmet.
Yeah.
No helmets at all. And even in practice, like they wear those harnesses and stuff.
Yeah.
But they have to practice all that on land, like do land drill.
Yeah.
Then they get on the ice and actually practice it. And I was watching the Netflix special on the ice dancers because you think, oh, like ice dance, yeah, sure, why not? But that like the amount of strength because they're constantly lifting. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
thought about like the guy is lifting this girl all the time. Like the I forget the American couple. Like he was having all this back trouble.
Oh,
And because you're like lifting and the load is changing position all the time, like it can be like very, very difficult. So even though it looks like they're just kind of skating across the ice, they're not necessarily doing all the jumps and stuff. It's the time under pressure and under load. Like those guys are
in
incredible.
it's your point. Like it's not even time under tension and load, but it's also like again to your point. There's the momentum, right? So you have the force of going like left to right. Yeah, they're all pretty incredible
They were
athletes.
talking about the girls like the being thrown and then having
Mhm.
to land on one leg that like hip injury is like a big thing and like if your hip starts to hurt like during competition time you're basically screwed because they're throwing you 20 10 feet in the air 20 feet
Yeah.
away and you're landing on one leg and like all of that pressure even if you weigh 115 pounds it's like 10 times your
Oh, sure.
weight
Yeah.
that you're landing on. Like they have to be so strong. Like, and I was looking at a lot of the figure skaters' quads. I was like, oh, those quads are just amazing. Like hashtag quad goals. Like, oh my gosh, but they need that to be able
Yeah.
to control all that
And
momentum.
to absorb that lets your point the pressure and the forces. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah.
What sport would you choose, Dan?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, to like you on the same line, like with you say with skating, probably cross country skiing.
Oh,
Um,
You said
you know,
mountaineering, maybe.
mountaineering because I thought that was just like I don't know the idea of like having to run up the hill carrying all your
Mhm.
gear. Maybe it's just like I thought that was pretty
biathlon would
cool.
be cool too. Like,
Yeah, biathlon.
Yeah.
Cool. What amazes me about the biathletes, and I wish they would do it at the Olympics, is showing their heart rate. Right,
oh,
their heart
Yeah.
rate has to be up into the 180s, 190s, and then to be able to shoot with accuracy,
Yep.
you have to control your heart rate because your heart, every time your heartbeat,
Mhm.
the your aim goes off a little bit. So
wow.
being able to, yeah, that'd be pretty impressive too. So, but I'm a summer person, even though I live in upstate New York. I do not like the winters. The older I get, the more I don't like them. So,
I think
um,
I
uh,
think that's everybody. Like, if you ask most Western New Yorkers or New Yorkers in general,
yeah,
like, do you enjoy the winter? And be like,
yeah,
to
Eh.
live without the cold and the slush and the
yeah,
snow, and even just today, like, just when you think the snow's going to be gone, It snows a little bit, and
Hmm.
that's the most annoying part. There was like this much snow on the driveway this morning, and I was rushing back into the house. I had left something in the house, and I almost like totally face planted. I was like, you know what? This is not fun.
And yeah, and it's been so cold
Yeah.
this winter. Like I was talking to some rowers at Saratoga. It's like we're never going to get on the water
Oh,
um
yeah.
because it just, the Saratoga Lake is completely frozen over. The
Mhm.
Mohawk River has been, it will freeze over, but I think it's pretty solid this year. So
Yeah.
We had
we might,
so
Yeah.
many just like very, very cold days, like in a row.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so then we'll need like a really strong melt and some good flow to like, especially our
yeah.
river will just like, it'll totally seize up. And then, it's really cool. Like if you stay, there's like a footbridge at Genesee
Mhm.
Waterways across
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Mhm.
If you stand on that bridge, you don't notice it during the summer, but all the pylons are pointed so
Mm.
that when the ice comes to them, it breaks up the ice. And if you stand on the bridge during a heavy ice flow and it's actually moving, it shakes the bridge.
Oh wow, that's
So
kind of
it's
Wow.
absolutely
yeah.
wild. And I had never experienced that before, like, because if it's not nice, I'm not up there on that bridge. But
Right.
I was with some people and we were walking around the park and we were standing on the bridge. We're like, wow, the bridge is shaking. Like every rock, every like ice rock came and like just shook the whole thing. I'm like, it's just amazing. It's amazing that it eventually thaws all out. It's eventually
Yeah.
growable.
Yeah,
But
right. Yeah.
it's gonna take some
Eventually is the key
time.
word this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're lucky, I think. Kate, how long has it been? So where we row on the Mohawk River, there's a bridge that has 10 arches.
Mhm.
And so ice will build up behind
Uh,
that bridge and it floods out a neighborhood pretty badly every year. So I can't remember, a couple years. They started.
Since it's flooded, or
No, well, there was a bad flood one spring, and I don't know. I think it's the Canal Corps, the New York State Canal Corps will send a icebreaker up
oh yeah.
oh,
Yep.
every so often now. So there is we permanently have this icebreaker that helps break up that stretch of river.
Mhm.
So it does help us get on the water a little sooner. But
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
what's
this
your
year will be
speaking of West
interesting.
Side, oh, sorry.
Oh yeah. No, no, go ahead. Yeah, this year we'll see.
yeah,
Though there was a couple of years in there where I was surprised that it did warm up fast enough and we got
yeah,
on the water, but this year I think is unique.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I
And I
did.
was thinking of West Side where they have the ice spoon. I've never seen the ice spoon. I don't know exactly what it is. There's probably a really good explanation online on what it does, but when they remove it, it like the canal will be like the black rock will be all clear, and then all of a sudden they'll remove the ice
Yeah.
and there's just like ice. Like you'll be practicing one day and the next day you show up and like you can't practice at all. Like the
Oh
river
wow.
is full of ice or the canal's full of ice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough. It's a challenge because and people want to get out there, people and
Mhm.
water temperature plus air temperature, you want that to be appropriate. Um, it's hard to practice small boats when it gets like that, and everybody
Yeah.
wants to get out in the single, everybody wants to get out in the doubles, and big boats are the only really the ones that are safe to go out in. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough stuff.
Yeah. I
Yeah, well,
was. But
go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
I was down in Orlando a couple weeks ago, and for an adult rowing camp.
Yeah, that's what we want
And
to hear about.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was down there for a couple weeks ago, and bringing the cold weather to us wherever we go, because down there the first couple of days of camp, I don't think it was like in the mid 50s, which sounds warmer than upstate New York, but um, it was still pretty chilly. I was rowing in long sleeves and long pants for the first couple of days, but
Mhm.
overall, it was a good experience.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about the whole thing. Like, how did you hear about it, and
Yeah.
what was it all like?
So kind of like a little bit of a backstory to that. I think the last time I was on, I talked about racing at the Charles in a single.
Yeah.
And so that was 2024. Didn't have a great experience. Not that the race wasn't a good experience, but like my race experience wasn't what I expected. And I was looking for something to change, right? Because they always say if you don't change, you can't change your situation unless you're willing to change, something like that. And I found this service online called Oracle, and they were based out of Saratoga. So I started working with them probably about this time last year. So I went to one of their tank um, clinics, and then I worked with them all last spring and summer and fall for the rowing season, individual coaching. but they offered a camp down in Orlando. So shout out to this. I want to get this right. The South Orlando Rowing Association. So Sora was our kind of our host. It was at a park. There was 18 of us, and kind of like a people that everyone there knew how to row. There was probably a handful that have never sculled before. And then there was a handful of us that had, varying degrees of sculling technique or experience. So very technical oriented. No pressure pieces. It was all just refining things. We went out in singles, doubles, and quads. But it was a really good experience. I really recommend any masters, and not necessarily going to their camp, but I really enjoyed their camp. But just going to something like that as an adult, for any level, it's just you not only do you get that individual attention, you're so focused. Like we all have lives, we all have jobs that we kind of break up into our day, and this was just all about rowing for 4 days, and they had a really good social aspect to it. So every night we kind of hung out and went out to dinner and got to talk to people. Got to talk about other clubs, what they do, and how things work. And it was a good social networking too as well. So
What,
always
what was
yeah.
it? Oh, sorry. Like,
No,
what
go
was
ahead.
the schedule like? How was it felt?
So yeah, so this compare and contrast. I'll answer your question when I get around to it. So a
Okay.
couple years ago,
Yeah.
I went to another camp sponsored by a different service that was very, very intense. So it was started at 7 in the morning, multiple sessions a day, um, snack breaks, and then at 5 or 6 o'clock, you were kind of on your own for dinner. So while it was great technical, it was a little overwhelming and a little kind of I wouldn't say antisocial, but they're missing that social aspect. This, because they row out of a park, the park opens at 8. We couldn't start practice until 8. So we were all, kind of waiting at 8 o'clock in the morning for the gate to open to get in the park. So we get there, we would do warm-ups. They're very big. The two coaches, Lauren and Mo, are former national team rowers. Very big on warming up, very big on activating the muscles you're going to use for rowing. So we have a really nice warm-up session. It's very consistent each session. You kind of bring that back to your own practice. Get on the water, very short, maybe row 5 to 6K, very technical based. Would come in, maybe have a snack, do some on land instruction, go back out on the water, do another kind of technical session. I think we did 3 a day. Come back, have lunch, go back out again. Again, really brief, and it's reinforcing what we worked on, and then would break about 2 o'clock. I think we had to be out of there by 2:30, because that's when the juniors would have practice. So we didn't want to overlap. So it was a very, and I mean this in a positive way, kind of low key compared to the last camp I went, because you're able to absorb everything they went through, and not feel mentally and physically exhausted. Right? You could still. But yeah, it's kind of the meter of the camp.
Cool. All right.
It was
And
really,
what
really
was, yeah, did they have you housed and together with everybody? Did everybody have the same accommodations or were you
No, it
left
was
to
you're
do that?
kind of on your own to find
Okay.
hotels. I'm not a big Airbnb person, but I found an Airbnb. We were not going to get into that horror story. So I lasted 2 days at the Airbnb and ended up finding a hotel.
Okay.
Probably have to talk about that.
Okay.
But it was really nice, kind of where all the hotels were grouped. I wish we had something like this in the Albany area, Kate. There was this permanent setup of food trucks.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, and it was very, I don't know, very eclectic with the mix of food they had. And so you could grab your food, right? Whatever you wanted, tacos or pizza or seafood and burgers. And then kind of we all just would sit at a big table in the outside. And again, talk about, our prior rowing experiences, what we're liking about camp. Made some good connections. So I'm in Nashville. I met a lady from Nashville. If it wasn't 30 degrees out, I would try to see if I could go rowing with them. She opened me an invite anytime we come down. I said the same thing for the head of the fish if they ever wanted to come up. Um, got a connection if we ever wanted to race at the head of the hooch for boats. It was really nice for that social aspect of it, making
Nice.
those connections. Yeah, so I really recommend, like, again, anybody going to one of these types of camps. They're doing another one. I think it's sold out down in New Orleans this year. But
Oh,
so not only is it like a good technical thing, but it just, again, that social aspect that you're really kind of cool to talk to other people from around the country about their programs.
yeah, definitely. I'm just looking it up on the map to see where it is. I mean, all I know in Orlando is like International Drive.
Yeah.
But
It was at Lake Mary Jane, so
yeah, I see
it was
that.
like 20-ish minutes east of Walt Disney World.
Oh,
Okay. Neat.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Right near the airport, it looks like.
it was pretty close to the airport. Yeah, so there was
Yeah.
actually a few people in our group that didn't rent cars. They just kind of Ubered and then hopefully would find a ride to the site every day. But
There's lots of Uber down there. I know
yeah,
I've
there's a lot of
used it a
Uber.
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But it was good. It was good working with them, and like I said, I've been working with them for about a year virtually.
Hmm.
So I have a relationship with them, but to be there with them for like 4 days straight and get that side by side coaching, right? It was really, I think it's
Yeah.
important we don't get that in the masters world very often.
Hmm.
Just if you row by yourself like I do,
Hmm.
um, you don't get that that feedback.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And it sounds like they've kind of created this nice way, with the tank workouts in the wintertime, like this
Yeah.
unique thing, like idea, right, that they have been growing to offer the service that a lot of people are probably looking for. So, and I know
Yeah.
Adrian's talked about doing something similar in the
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bahamas
yeah,
or
it's good
Bermuda.
to kind of hear, what other programs are doing out there. I know that like the All American Sculling Camp
Mm,
came to Rochester once, and their setup was like a 3 day, two to three practices of instruction, video, not really anything afterwards. It was more just like about the camp and
mm,
being there at that time. And Kate had mentioned the Nassau Rowing Club and then in the Bahamas.
Mhm.
They're working on expanding what they offer. They do a lot of drop-in right now.
okay.
But I was talking with them about creating some type of like almost like masters rowers retreat and potentially flying in because most of the time, like to get to the Caribbean, it'll take a good, 7 or 8 hours, depending on, if you're coming from our area, it takes about 7 or 8 hours. You have to, there's going to be you have to probably go to like a Baltimore or some other airport. It's going to be a connection. You'll get there early, mid-afternoon, probably could do like an evening practice that first day to kind of get set up, figure out which boats people fit best in. And then you could start off with like two to three practices a day. Um, I guess the Bahamas isn't really walkable, which is kind of like the
Mm,
sad part. You'd have to arrange transportation from to and from the boathouse, and they don't have
okay.
a boathouse. It's like a park kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
and their boats sit outside and everything. They row on Lake Cunningham, which is like a
Okay.
protected lake. The pictures are just gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
glassy water. The coldest it gets there is like 75. And then that's like the morning and it's 85 by the evening.
Well, if I end up going to that, then probably be in the 30s with my luck. But it does sound great. It sounds really, yeah,
And their coach seems really, really nice. Like,
yeah.
was the option of like, we kind of talked back and forth on whether like the option of me renting a launch and actually coaching, or if they would just provide all the coaching, which might be
Okay.
easier in the beginning. Just kind of giving people an opportunity. They have singles, doubles, quads, they have a oct. Um,
Okay.
and they said their boats aren't fancy, but they said that it's definitely something that people will enjoy. And then there's also the option too, because you're in the Bahamas. They were talking about there was a couple really great excursions. So
Oh,
building that
wow.
into
Yeah.
time while you're there. They said that there's a really great one where you ride a boat out to like an island and you spend the day like kind of walking the island and enjoying the
Oh, that
beach.
sounds fun. Yeah.
So I'm trying to put all this together. Like my idea is that I'm gonna need to go down there. I've talked to them a bunch, but I haven't
Hmm.
gone and actually rode there. And it might be like where I need to figure out boots on the ground, like
For
look at
sure.
and stop into some of the different places because they have like kind of like a townhouse place where you can where you can get like the townhouse, but you'd have to buy groceries.
Okay.
Airbnbs. So then that means like groceries or going to restaurants. And then the fact that like you can't walk places, but I guess the townhouse place is close to kind of like a more kind of like town area. So you can kind of walk there. You just can't walk to where the boats are.
Okay.
And then there's all inclusive too. So for people who just totally don't want to have to think about
Yeah.
what I'm going to eat or when I'm going to eat, um, the all inclusive is an option, and I think they have a sandals and a breezes,
Oh wow.
that are kind of like within
Okay.
distance. So I would love to kind of create something, maybe something that happens like in January or February or like the beginning of March, like that would give people the opportunity to get their sculling, like give yourself those sculling skills boost before
Yeah.
you get home and you going out on the water. Because I always feel like there's all that, if you can get through all that technical stuff early and like get the comfort back when you get back here and the water's a little questionable, or
Oh
you're not also working over the post-winter slump.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Correct
that
there and then be ready for here, you
and
know?
that's where like a lot of the people that were at the camp that I went to in January or just February, last couple weeks ago, it's like what was the motivation for going, to the camp? And it was like I'm from the north, right? A lot of us were from the
Mhm.
northeast, and it's like I just want to get on the water. I'm sick of erging, sick of
Mhm.
lifting, um, and so just to get on the water in the January February timeframe, to your point, so that'd be a perfect time just to a big sell, right, to get people on the
Yeah.
water.
And they do a regatta, the Bahamas,
Oh, really?
club does a regatta the week before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
And so I thought that would be
Mhm.
kind of a cool option too. Like, maybe do, because if the regatta is like on Saturday, you show up on Wednesday, Thursday, maybe practice a little bit. You're kind of coming off of like your whole fall season, so you're still
yeah,
ready, race on Saturday, leave Sunday or Monday and be back or be wherever you need to go for the holiday, like kind of take that and then go to
sure.
family or whatever it may be. So that was like kind of another idea too that would be fun. Just kind of get one more warm
Oh,
weather race in before,
yeah, yeah,
you
and
know?
in a unique race too. Like how many people could say they've actually raced in, the Bahamas? So that's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about the logistics of that, especially if you want to race your own boat.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. I
I
don't
don't
think
think
you
you
have to,
can.
yeah, you have to have our
They
own.
have to have enough to run. Do they just rent out enough for the
Yeah,
regatta?
they have quite a few boats.
Do they?
Yeah, they had sent me like an Excel sheet with all the list of all the boats that they have. They have some people who have private boats down there too, and they said that a lot of times if people are coming into town, they'll rent out their private boat. So I think that they kind of get around it that way. I just thought it would be fun, just something
Yeah.
Yeah.
different, and hopefully fingers crossed, it'll like turn into something. But I was telling Kate, like maybe the three of us want to go on an adventure to the Bahamas,
To
I
test it out.
want to.
test
Yeah.
it out this
Yeah.
summer or
Yes.
something. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that might be cool.
Yeah. No, there is definitely a need for that stuff at the
Yeah.
master's level, right? I mean, there's if you go on like Row 2K and look at camps,
Mhm.
there's junior camps everywhere, at all different levels, and college, even like pre-elite, there's
Mhm.
camps you can go to, but the masters, right, have the disposable income.
Mhm.
There's just not a lot available. Like you said, All American, and then there's Oracle, and then I think the one that I went to, Calm Waters, I don't think she does it anymore. I think she retired.
Mhm.
So I think there is a
There's a need out there.
yeah, I totally
And then I think what's interesting that you were talking about like the social aspect of it,
yeah.
like, not
Mhm.
forget that like this is about like you said, the networking, being able to
Mhm.
get to know other people, learn what other people are doing at different
Yeah,
clubs, like have it be something where not only you're learning, but you're having the opportunity to kind of meet and be with other people. And I think that
yeah,
from a master's standpoint, like I just think that's so valuable. Even just like with what we were doing with the Bright and Burn, like there were people who were on the our little crew lab team, and they had only interacted with each other on the crew lab app, and then like they just happened to meet each other at erg class, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I know you already!" Like,
yeah,
like I saw that shoveling workout that you did, like that
yeah.
like that's like the best part is like when
Well,
you can connect people and people are really having like these meaningful experiences inside of rowing, but also kind of
sure.
outside of rowing too.
Yeah, and I mean, Kate can kind of appreciate this too. It's like people were kind of commiserating about, their one group or from the same club, won't mention their club, but kind of complaining about how, they get to the boathouse when practice starts, but they have to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes for other people to straggle in, and they feel like, their club is unique in that space. And I'm like, you're not unique. I think that's a problem, right, Kate, that a lot of
Yeah.
clubs have. And the
Mhm.
coaches, when we were down there, overheard that, and we're like, yeah, that's, we're adults, we have things going on, there's maybe you get stuck at work, or you got to pick up a kid or whatever. And they kind of really put a positive spin on it and said, well, here's an opportunity now. You always, people complain that they don't have time to warm up.
Mhm.
While
Yeah.
you're standing around waiting for, Bob and Sarah to pull into the parking lot,
Yeah.
you can be doing these basic exercises that we're showing you, right?
Right.
To warm up your hip flexors and to warm up your glutes. And so it was took as a learning opportunity. But yeah, socializing, like, we're not the only club, you're not the only club that has these problems. Um, we all do, and this is a solution to kind of make the best of it. So it's kind of cool.
The people that went down there, are they like, is it a combination of different like people that just row their own boats, or they're belonging to the clubs, or
It
it's just
sounded like, yeah, it sounded like
yeah.
I was probably the only person that had their own single and
Oh,
rose
okay.
by themselves. Most of them came from clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's, I mean, all varying levels too, right? I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
people that came from clubs that had, 100 masters, and there was another guy from Connecticut, and I think he's like, there's like 10 of them. So really ranges of clubs and abilities. But yeah, I think um, for most people, they just wanted that coat. What I like about them, again, not to plug them again, but like, they are two former national team rowers, so they kind of bring that national team, like, not mindset, but like, here's things, drills that we would do on the national team and how we
Yeah.
would execute them, and look little fine things, right? It's things that, Kate, how many times have we done cut the cake
Mm-hmm.
in our master's boat, but they put a different spin on cut the cake and kind of give you like the layers deep of why,
Okay.
that makes you want to kind of, okay, now I feel like doing this. Now we're just doing it because the coach said so, right? Um,
Right.
so stuff like that. Yeah. So it's kind of things that, people, they reinforce this over and over again, things that you can bring back to your own club. We're not saying, don't walk into your own club and tell your coach how to coach, but the idea of like the warm up, right? If you're all standing around, there's no reason you can't just start getting people to start doing hip flexor, drills and things like that. So,
So did you
but
drive your boat all the way down there, or did you
no,
use one of theirs?
so when I went to the camp, the other camp I went to was in Virginia. I did
Yeah.
drive my boat down there. It was nice to have my own boat. Um, but driving for how many hours with your boat on top of your car was a little nerve wracking. So I flew this time and just used club equipment. I
Yeah.
wasn't about to drive I think it's what's it, a 20-hour drive
Oof.
to Orlando? Yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
And
it
you
was
went
mostly,
by Donica didn't go with you. You went down by yourself?
I went by myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went by myself.
Cool.
Yeah. And I stayed an extra day and went to Magic Kingdom by myself. Um,
Oh.
yeah.
That.
So I was like, I'm so
Yeah.
close. I might as well, we go down every couple of years with family.
Mhm.
So I thought to myself, well, we'll give it a shot by myself. So
So did you
being
do all the rides? I'm
Yeah.
blown away by
I'm a
the
Disney
I've never gone by
adult, so
myself.
I have no shame. Yeah, I did. My favorite ride is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Mhm.
And it was down all day, so I was very disappointed. So I
Mhm.
did everything but that, and then there was another the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which is a roller coaster I didn't get on, but I did everything else.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Eas
I, it's
Easier when you're by yourself, right?
a
A
lot
little
easier
bit
by
easier to get
yourself.
in. Yeah.
It's a lot
Mhm.
easier by yourself. Yeah, it doesn't take, an hour to use the bathroom like when you go to large group. It doesn't take 20 minutes to figure out what you're going to snack on. So it was very, very convenient, but at the same time, like, you just, like with rowing, like the shared experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of miss that shared experience, and pointing things out to people and seeing like kids' reactions that you're with on things. But yeah, but
nice, because then you can at least get to the rides that you definitely want to do, unless like you know what I mean, like the ones like I always love to go to the Hall of Presidents, and my husband hates it, so I don't think I've gone to the Hall of Presidents like since before we got married. So it'll be like I have 20-some years now that I've gone without going to the Hall of Presidents, but I like it.
They've added some presidents since then. Yeah, no, it's like I like that kind of stuff too. And it's gonna sound weird, but like, I mean, I do like rides, I do like theme parks, but there's certain things that like are uniquely that no other park could do, like the Hall of Presidents, right? There's no other comparable experience. So I do like that for that aspect.
Room, like I love the TV room, like
Yep.
you know, like that kind of stuff, like because
I like
you could take the kids to Six Flags and like, you know, I love roller coasters. Don't get me wrong, like Cedar Point, sign me up. I'll go on every single ride. But like the cool thing about Disney is that it is a theme park, and so there are these moments where like the Tiki Room, Pirates of the Caribbean, Hall of Presidents, like
I tried to convince some of my fellow campers to stay an extra day and go with me, but I thought it was a little crazy. So
oh, and Haunted Mansion, we had to mention Haunted Mansion.
Yep, Haunted Mansion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That one too.
So
that's amazing. Oh my goodness.
yeah. So I definitely would go if they do another camp like that. I would definitely go back down there for that. Maybe not do Disney by myself, but it was a good experience. And it's Adrian, to your point, right? Getting on the water, right? Because when we get on the water in the Northeast, we just talked about ice flow and temperatures, right? The water's cold. I don't know how the Genesee is, but like the Mohawk River, it's pretty fast. And while I'm very risk adverse in my life, it is a little sometimes you know, Kate can attest to this. You push off from the dock and you're already like 100 meters downstream, and it's you know, even in a bigger boat, it's unsettling.
Yeah.
You know, in a single, it's really unsettling.
Yeah.
So it was nice to kind of get down on water, right? And not have the fear of falling in. And having those adverse events happen, right? So it was nice to kind of break up that and feel like, oh, I haven't rowed since October, and I can actually, you know, get in a single and keep it upright and kind of move it a little bit. It was kind of a nice kind of like reinforcing of your own, you know, mental skills, I guess. So
yeah,
another good reason to do
those fast currents in the spring are just, it's so tough. Like, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You push away from the dock and just kind of like, ooh, shit, here.
And I love
day by day, right? Like different days, you think you're good, and then all of a sudden, you know, they open it up a little bit. And
I love rowing the Pittsford regatta, which is Memorial Day weekend. It's the race in Rochester, and I love that's like one of my favorite races to go to. But at the same time, since it's in May, like you want to try to get on the water as much as possible before that. And sometimes, you know, you're only getting on the water a week or two ahead of that race. So, you know, not that you make poor decisions, but sometimes if I didn't have that race, I'm like, okay, there's no reason for me to get on the water today. I can go do the erg workout, or I can berg or do something else. But you want to, you know, that competitive person in you wants to say, let's, you know, the flow is only at X, right? Or
6 not so bad.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen like, because when I coached in the spring for the juniors, you know, you've got those kids out there in the 8s and stuff like that. But all it takes is like for a coxswain to call one side the wrong way, and then the boat is sideways, and you forget it. It's like you're watching your crew like go like that all the way, and you're like, no, I'm like spin. I'm like, get your bow facing the like, you know, it's like it's so crazy how quickly it can kind of all literally go sideways.
And how quickly the athletes freeze, right?
Yeah.
In they don't react, because this happened when I was in college, where our novice women were turning in a high current and they were coming close to a bridge abutment. And they had plenty of time and just saw the abutment approaching as, Adrian, as you're pointing out, they're going sideways,
Yeah.
and, utter panic set in, it's maybe a strong word, and they ended up getting, caught up against the abutment sideways, because they kind of literally just froze and didn't know what to do. And, the coach wasn't around them, unfortunately, to kind of snap them back or give them command. So yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me as a coxswain when I was in high school. I broke my finger, so I had a cox boat, and it was a boat full of new people, except for I think our stroke seat. And the coach, so Dan knows the location of the Niskuna boathouse, so that's where we were. And when I feel like particularly that area in fast current, you literally stay in front of the Niskuna dock while you're rowing upstream. And then the minute you have to turn around, you're going right into a bridge. And at that point, the bridge was different than it is now. So I think there might have been more abutments. I think so. Anyway, the same situation. We were in an old show and broad. At the time, it was probably not super old, but and we took out our bow because bow, we hit the bow, and then stroke seat, who was the only experienced rower, got an asthma attack because she was, panicking. So yeah, that was an interesting day at practice for sure. And the reason is because we always turned after the Rexford Bridge. That was always the rule. You don't want to turn for this reason exactly, but we weren't getting anywhere, and the coach was just running out of time and told me to turn it before the bridge. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
So, and then trying to get it back to the dock at that point, I mean, the current's taking you away and you're like, nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows how to back. Trying to explain that.
Yeah. To get everybody out of the boat, stressful. Like, did it totally take the bow off?
It did take it broke, like your double, like it was attached, but it was pretty much off. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wild.
That happened at the Charles. You guys remember the early 2000s? If I'm going to probably get all the details wrong, so I apologize. But I think it was like the Chinese national team had borrowed a boat, and for some reason, they got in either they collided with another boat or collided with abutment, and it knocked their bow off. But as long as they went straight, the force kept the bow attached. And then they made that Elliott turn, and when they made the Elliott turn, the force ripped their bow off. And there's a photo online of them sitting under Elliott Bridge. The boat is completely submerged. They're in the boat, and the coxswain's standing up trying to warn people coming through Elliott that they're there. Yeah.
Wow.
So
yikes.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, speaking of spring, I always tell this story about the girls I had in the double, and they flipped the double. It was like the end of practice. Like, we're literally like paddling, drilling, and we're just kind of moving our way back towards the boathouse. And I forget what one of them did, but they flipped the boat. It's cold. And we're in the canal, and we're in part of the canal, because the canal crosses the Genesee River. So I had they weren't novices, but they were the B team. So I had I think I had a novice quad, and I had the B team double, the varsity B. They're the ones who flipped. And so and the funny part was as we were setting up the springs lineups, we're oh, if they flip, I don't know if they'll be able to get back in, but they won't flip that boat. It was that type of thing. We had literally said that at our coaches meeting when we picked those two to get in the double. They flip it. And so you're trying to A, stay calm. B, I couldn't get close enough to them because we were in the canal, and the reverberation was making it difficult for them. So I had to turn off the motor. So my boat is kind of floating there, and then having to stay calm and be on the megaphone and walk them through. I'm you can do this. We're gonna flip the boat back over. Okay, the boat's flipped back over. Okay, we're gonna get in one at a time. Okay, balance it out. And the first girl gets in, and you're okay, you're slightly relieved, but you've got another rower still in the water. It's before states, so it's early, late April, early May. The water is cold.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if this girl can't get back in the boat, and my launch isn't on, and I'm gonna have to turn it back on and then get over there and rescue her, like like you're running scenarios in your head and just like get back in the boat, get back in the boat, get back in the boat, and finally she gets back in the boat. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, these girls are gonna have to row this boat full of water back to I'm like we couldn't have been any more than maybe 700 meters from the boathouse, but to row 700 meters with like your boat completely full of water, is like the sloshing back and forth, like they could barely control the boat, plus they're frozen. I mean they were in like their rowing jackets, they had, they probably had like full long pants on, like all that's wet, and having to like row back in the wind, get back to the boathouse, and then like
get the boat out,
get the boat out,
like, and then get drenched again with the
get
water.
them out, get them safe, get them warm, like, and then you've got this boat that's basically like, sinking, and like you want to make sure to check that for damage, and then at the same time you still have other boats, like you have other coming back in, they don't know what's happened, so like, why are you taking so much time on the dock? And we're like, we have an emergency here. Like it's like that's like worst case scenario as a coach. Like you have to kind of keep all the pieces of it together, and like the idea of like wanting to get out on the water, wanting to like, make sure that you get enough practice, especially for the juniors. It's so tough. Like the time before states, like I don't know how the college students do it, because their states is like in April, right? It's like super early, and like to get enough water time and to be making the right decisions, like each decision that you make as far as going out or not going out is like, it could be a great practice, no problem, or you can run into a really big problem. You can really have a tough time. So
I think people don't realize how quickly you can go hypothermic, even when if you're applying like the 90-degree rule, 100-degree rule, like whatever you subscribe to. You colder water zaps your, I mean, it zaps your energy very, very quickly.
Yeah. It doesn't take much. And then even though trying to like tell these kids, like, even if you're a good swimmer, like, and we always talk about the UB, what they had at West Side, there's that whole story about like the guy gets ejected, the other kid jumps in because he's a lifeguard, it's cold water, they're trying to get into the launch, they sink the launch because it's one of those like dory, or one of those flat bottom ones, like all these, pushing on it, and the next thing you know, the coach is in the water, you're calling the Coast Guard. It's like it can become a whole thing very, very quickly, and everybody to make the right choices at that time. Like you can't go in the water and chase somebody, but like as a coach you have to be aware that at one point or another, like you have to make some type of attempt to rescue this kid.
Right.
Like, like that always, like after that happened to me, I was like, this is no joke. Like, if I don't feel like as soon as, like, because if I get the coach feeling when I'm sitting there and I are standing at the on the dock, you get there early, sometimes you're looking out at the water, especially if there's like a little bit of wind, there's some white caps. Like, I'm like, how do I feel about this? I'm like, if I don't feel good about it, like, we're just gonna decide. Like, I'm not calling the Coast Guard today here, kids. We're just not.
Sorry. For sure. No, like I refereed for a bit, and I remember the head of the Hudson, which is in like early fall, so the water's relatively warm. It was a nice day out, and a junior boys floor flipped. And the first thing as a referee, you make sure there's 5 heads that popped up, right, the coxswain, and they're all, they do what they're supposed to. They're all hanging onto the boat, and we would transfer one at a time from the kids hanging on the boat to our boat, and then there was a sheriff's boat. We just put them into the sheriff's boat because the sheriff's boat was like the gunwale was so high. I told the sheriff, like, there's no way you're pulling that kid out. Like, we'll use our boat to transfer. And the kids were not in the water that long. And we were there. It was a nice day out. By the time we got to the 5th kid, he's like, "Yeah, I'm cold. Like, I need to get out now," because he was struggling to hold on. And he had a life jacket. We threw him life jacket. We did a little safety protocol, but it's how quickly. I think to your point, people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm only going to be in the water for 2 minutes. I can handle this," and then how quickly that your body starts to numb up and shut down.
And I think we realize, because like we get out there so often, like we're just kind of like numb to the idea that you could go in the water, and all it takes is like being in the single in that little bobble, and you're just like, wait a second, I'm not going in the water today.
I actually bought or got as a Christmas present this year one of those inflatable life vests that
Yeah.
you wear around your
Oh yeah.
like a fanny pack, and I got one this year, and just because again, I'm very risk adverse and I don't like to get on the water. If I even perception of maybe it's going to be a little tricky. But I thought, especially in the spring and the fall, you going out by yourself at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's like,
Yeah, no one's
it's
gonna
not,
hear
yeah,
you. Nobody's gonna see you.
yeah,
There's
right.
stretches of our river where you can get to the shore, but there's nothing there.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just
So,
trees.
yep. So I was like,
Yeah,
all right, I'm just gonna ask Santa to bring me one of those this year.
that was smart.
So,
But
yeah,
in there's a pool by Genesee Valley, and we have to walk the boats up like one, I think not this past year, but I think it was the year before, and we just rented out the pool and we put the singles in there and we just had people practice the flip test, and
yeah,
it's just so nice to be able to do that in a like a
for
controlled
sure.
environment. Like I know a lot of times, like for the kids, they'll just let them get in the river. They'll have them flip it
Yeah,
in the river and then, hop back in. But for masters, I really feel like, if you are new to rowing, but you've been rowing for a while, you've been getting out in like either doubles or quads, and you want to transfer to that being able to go out in the single by yourself, like you have to feel very confident that you can get back in without a
yeah,
problem. And I know
and
there's people that want to practice it like 3 or 4 times, but when you're in a
yeah,
swimming pool, it's easy,
yeah. But
you
I mean, to
know?
your point though, right? It doesn't take much, right? A little bobble. And for me, knock on wood, I'm gonna cross my fingers, throw salt. I mean, I haven't flipped a single in 25 years,
Hmm.
but like I think as you age, right, and you get a little older, sometimes you can row the boat, but maybe I don't know how to physiologically, I don't know how to describe it, like you maybe don't have the dexterity you used to have to flip the boat back over and climb back in, right?
Right.
And you could be a tremendous athlete and you could be strong on the in a boat, but you don't have that, you lose that ability, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm
It's
kind of
harder
in
for
it.
some people to leverage themselves back up into it.
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah,
it's like being on the edge of a pool, like
but it's moving
but
while
it's
you're doing
Mhm.
it.
and like
Yeah,
depending on where the rigger is too, like because I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah,
big on the idea of like bow riggers, fantastic. However, difficult to get back in. If you
yes,
if you flip that boat, that's gonna be a challenge
yes,
because you have to be inside and then
yeah,
like be able to hold those oars and put your hand on that and push and
yep,
slide yourself up straight up out of, like you have to do a really good solid kick and then be
mhm,
able to like either get up and over or get your butt around, like it was
yeah,
really interesting being able, because there were like a couple younger coaches that were there and they were demonstrating it over and over again with this with the bow rigged boat. And like, it was tough for some of these masters. Like, some people, it took them like 4, 5, 6
yeah,
tries before they could figure out where they could put their body, how hard they'd had to kick. I mean, because some people were kicking so hard that their body would get flat and they'd flip the boat
oh,
right back over. And like, or like, thinking about like, oh, am I just going to try to get my body up on it and then swing the leg around, or am I
yeah,
one of those people who can like with a stern rigged single, it's very easy to do the whole hand and then get your butt all the way up. Like I can still do that, but it's a challenge.
yeah,
It's not easy. And that can be a hard thing bridge to cross. And then okay, you have the life vests, but if you can't get back in, that means that you're paddling this boat
yeah.
back to
Well, you're
wherever you're
swimming
gonna
this boat, right?
go,
Yeah,
yeah,
swimming it
yeah,
back. You're trying to find like a shallow enough spot that you can
yeah,
like have the boat still be submerged enough so you don't take your skag off and that you could
yeah,
over it and sit back down in it. Then you're soaking wet, and then it's
yep,
like there's just so many variables. Like staying upright is is definitely a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable.
yeah, for
well,
sure.
yeah, that's the plan, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So it's the plan.
Yeah. I know. I wanted to do it because we Andy had done this like
yeah,
captain's test that he did. And I was so glad because I wanted to know that feel good that I could do it in my own boat. I could get back in. And I'm so glad I did it because like you said, it was challenging. And then it was good to have somebody there because I was trying to push like hold on to the gunnel, the opposite gunnel. And then he was like, all right, move your hand to the inside of the boat to push up. And that was like the key. And that helped.
Okay.
But I can't tell you how many bruises I had the next day.
Oh my gosh, yes. You'll be
Because you're
so
like
bruised.
pushing
Yeah.
your body and you're like on the gunnel in one spot and then you're like leaning on. Yeah. So I think this whole arm was all
Oof.
bruised up.
Yep. Yep. I had one of my
But
one of the people that I work with in the clinic, her whole side, and she never was able to do it. Like she just couldn't do it. And the whole reason she was seeing me is because she had fallen out of a single and had gotten like a shoulder tension injury.
Ooh.
Because you know how like if you
Yeah.
fall and like you're going, she reached for the top oar and
Okay.
support, and then like kind of
like
felt weird
twerking.
on it. So yeah, like you can be completely bruised up practicing it. And like kids make it look so easy, you know what I mean? 'Cause they're pretty nimble and they'll just kind of figure it out. But it does take a little bit of extra time as a master's to kind of like be like, okay, all right, I need to put my body here. That's
Yeah.
back in.
And I think it's like, from a master's perspective too, is like, yeah, if you can do it in your 40s, doesn't really mean you can do it in your 50s or 60s, right? And it's a constant change, right? And I think reassessment of
Yeah.
What else was in the
your
captain's
ability.
test, Kate? What else was
What's that?
what else was in the captain's test?
So you had to know the rules of the river, like you had to know, where everything was and where you're supposed to be in the channel. You had to, and it was pretty low key. We just was all sat in the boathouse, and he asked all of us, and we just had to be there to hear the answer, basically. And yeah, so I mean, it was good. It was really good to review everything, like to do like what if scenarios, and then the final part was to flip the boat and then get back in and. I think some people tried a few times, like you said, and weren't able to do it, but then went back out another time. And we all did it at the same time. So it was kind of good to, like, if you got in, then you could kind of row over somewhere near someone who was trying it out
Yeah.
because we kind of did it in rotations, and give them some pointers and, root them on. And obviously it was like the middle of summer when it was a nice hot day where falling in is like not that bad. You're kind of like, this is nice. Maybe I'll do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, the swimming pool was a nice option. Like I was
Yeah.
like, we need to always rent the swimming pool at the beginning of the summer and bring over the singles and just because it was just nice. I mean, like to not be like afraid of what's underneath the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what am I
Yeah.
swimming in? Like, like it's not always the healthiest on the Genesee River, especially when they have those little floating, who knows what little islands of goo that's
Oh.
built down. Or this winter, not winter, but this fall, we had it was crazy. I don't know what was with the walnuts, like those big like tennis ball-y kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They actually like one time I went out in the double, we were like working on a piece and stuff. We had to stop. I'm like, what is that? I'm like,
Oh, wow.
there were so many. It was like rowing through a sea full of marbles. It was just wild. I don't know like if it was just like one particular day where every walnut tree decided to drop its doodads. Those things are hard. They're like solid.
Yeah.
It's wild. So yeah, crazy stuff.
Well, we're coming up in an hour, but I did have one question for Dan that I was hoping he could tell the story about when you rescued the dog during practice because I couldn't
Yes.
remember all the details, so I'm sure I didn't do it justice. So I wasn't there. You were.
So yeah, another example of right when maybe you shouldn't go on the water. So I was coaching the Masters at the time for Burnt Hills, and I think it had rained out pretty heavily for like a week or two. It was just below flood stage. So the water was moving pretty fast, and the Masters were really itching to get on the water, and kind of against my better judgment. Looking back now, I'm like, okay, we'll get on the water, but we're only going to row eights and we're going to row sixes, right? So we'll always have a stable platform. And how far away is the first bridge? Maybe 1,000 meters, 1,500.
Yeah.
So we got up to this point and kind of paint the picture, Adrian. We got to this point from our boathouse to the first bridge, there's really nothing. As Kate mentioned, there's points along our shore that are like maybe heavily, industry,
Mhm.
but there's also parts that are just it's just forest, right? There's nothing around there. And so between our boathouse and the first bridge, it's pretty forest. There isn't much around there. And we got up to this area and we heard a dog barking. And to a point where like you shouldn't hear any, like there's no nature trails, there's no parking lot, there's nothing to have a dog there. And it was just not stopping. So we had the boat kept going up and it was a heavy current. So it was uh not going very fast. And I motored over to shore and there was a dog, this poor little white dog, probably the like 40, 50 pounds, kind of looked like a Siberian Husky type-ish dog,
Yeah.
and kind of trapped in this little cave on the side of the river. So I don't know if he fell in and was able to swim into this little cave, but he was kind of stuck in this little cave up to his chest in the water. Um, and the poor thing just, wouldn't stop barking, but wouldn't ask, and it wouldn't let me really get near him either. He was kind of, obviously scared. So I had visibility back to the boathouse. So I told our master's boat to turn around. You need to go back to the boathouse, kind of, and then went back to the dog and called animal control. And they said actually there was a family looking for this dog. So I kind of gave them the location, tied up the launch. I jumped in the water. So the current wasn't bad. We were kind of in this little eddy spot, so it was pretty safe. Tied up the launch on a down tree and was able to kind of get into the water. Heard the family walking towards me. The mom, the daughter, I don't know where she was. We'll say the mom. The mom's okay. Where's my dog? I'm like, you're kind of standing on the cave of where your dog is. So I was able to help her into the boat. And once the dog saw her, he kind of came out of the cave a little bit to me. I was able to grab him and put him in my launch. And then just directly across the river, maybe another couple of meters, there's like a public dock. So we drove up and dropped the mom and the dog off with the rest of the family. So it was a good, yeah, it was really, didn't know what to do at that point, right? With the,
Right.
you know,
So cool.
yeah, it was
Dog
it was nice
rescuer.
to, and then as soon as I made sure they were okay, it's like go back to the dock to make sure the 8 got in, right? I didn't want to rescue a dog and lose 9 adults, but yeah, that's the way rescuing the dog story. And I told it quickly. That was probably a full like 45 minutes of being with the dog and then waiting for the family to show up and dropping the dog off. So
That's so wild.
had
So
a good.
how far away did you talk to the family at all? Did the dog just
I mean, we couldn't even see each other, right?
Oh,
Where we were, and it was just I heard them yelling the dog's name, and I just started yelling back, and it kind of came. It was thick woods,
yeah.
and the woods kind of went right up to shore. So we didn't see each other till they popped out of the woods. Yeah, and it was a summertime too, so it wasn't like it was the spring or the solar seasons, like the spring or the fall, where like the foliage is gone. It was pretty
Mhm.
thick,
Oh.
with greenery. Yeah. So
Was the dog on the Schenectady shore or the Scotia, like
the
the
Schenectady side, yeah,
Schenectady side?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. Right before the train bridge,
Just
somewhere around there.
yeah, just upstream of the train bridge. So there's the first bridge is
Oh,
is just a
upstream.
railroad bridge. Sorry,
Okay.
great downstream, boy,
Downstream.
downstream
Okay,
of the
yeah.
railroad bridge. So there's a neighborhood, I guess, pretty like is it Maxon Road? Like there's an
Yeah.
industrial road and the Maxon Road.
Mhm.
There's a neighborhood back there. Apparently, the dog kind of got loose and
Wow.
yeah,
When
Wow.
adventure.
good. Yeah, it was a good story. Good ending, right?
Yeah.
Happy ending.
Right place at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, if we hadn't against, I was getting a lot of pressure from you all to get on the water, and I feel like we hadn't done it. Like, there were obviously no other boats
No
on
one
the water,
else.
right? No one's
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah.
There's nothing going
Mhm.
on. So it was kind of fortuitous that you guys really put a lot of pressure to go on that day.
Wow.
We gave you a hard time, Dan, I think.
You did, yeah, yeah. So, but yeah,
And then dog rescuer on the back of his shirt.
Yep.
yeah, right. No, yeah.
It's true.
But it was good. It was a good. I felt very I don't know, happy that you know
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
to help. say the least. But yeah.
Yeah. We can wrap up with what's coming up for you this year. Like what are the races?
So
Sure.
Pittsford,
Up
gotta be
to you.
Pittsford. I'm not really good at racing starts, so it's something I need to work on and I want to work
Okay.
on. So there's a race down in Rockland County, so just outside of the city. Just a masters race. I'm tentatively, depending on my racing starts, I want to do that. Then the typical head of the Hudson. We have our race, the Mohawk Fall Classic. Um, I'm my Oracle coaches are putting pressure on me to put a bid in for the Charles again. So I promise them I will reevaluate when the time comes to put the bid in. Head of the Fish. I do. It happened last year where like you have the Mohawk Fall Classic, which is usually late September. Then there's a couple weeks, then there's the Charles and the Head of the Fish. So I fall into this lull. So I need to find another. I want to find a couple other races.
Head of the
to kind of-
Genesee.
Head of the Genesee is one of them I'm looking at. New Hampshire Championships is another one. Textile Regatta out in Mass. So we'll do that, and then through my connections through the rowing camp I went into. Weird. This year, the Head of the Fish is not the last weekend of October,
Oh,
but
interesting.
the Music City race down in Nashville is the last weekend in October. So I have my connections now, my new friends at Nashville Rowing, and my family that live down here potentially might come down and do that race.
Very cool.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. How about you guys? Any racing?
We'll see Pittsford Regatta potentially. I don't know. I have the person I row in the double with, she really wants to do Masters Nationals. That's like Ann Arbor. I don't know if that's gonna timing wise if it's gonna work. I don't know. Like definitely like Lift Bridge, Head of the Genesee, Pull the Plug. Those are all local ones, so I will hit all those. I don't know about, you just never know if gonna try out for a Charles boat or something like that. I don't, who knows, but yeah, that's kind of the general plan. I don't have anything special kind of planned. I'd love to be able to row the single at one of those potentially, but my single, she's more of a recreational gal. She's from 1981. She's She has a wooden gunnels. She a little bit when I try to put like too much pressure into the lower locks. So I might need a new boat that's not recreational if I'm going to try to actually, like, I don't want the boat to fall apart.
That's fair.
That's down the course.
That's
fair. So I might have to find something a little bit more robust before I do something like
fair.
that.
Yeah, I don't have any racing plans. I think my racing time is just kind of like we'll see what happens until maybe the kids are not
the kids are busy
at regattas, and then if wherever Hannah goes next year, we're gonna be dividing and conquering to see different races in different locations most likely. So that's gonna be like our regatta weekends are going to be pretty much centered around them, and I mean maybe
more spectating than rowing potentially.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
But I'll if I'm there at a race where they're racing, I'll be able to watch you guys too. So and we still have to get in a boat, Adrien. That was one thing we definitely need to coordinate.
We need to maybe we need to host our own camp here in Rochester or something like that. Have you guys come out and do some type of camp on the Genesee? The Genesee is beautiful during the summer. It's basically glass. I mean, if it gets up to 500 as far as the discharge, that's high during the summer.
Yeah.
So, like it's definitely very, very nice. So it'd be nice to kind of host maybe like a little weekend. Maybe it doesn't even need to be a camp. Maybe just a weekend rowing get together, and we could go out and like take you guys to some fun places here in Rochester. And
that sounds fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like a rowing fun get together. Of course, we'll row a little bit, but we won't necessarily. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about some drills, but we won't make it too exciting in that sense. It'll be more like a social, like a row for fun kind of thing.
It'd be a good course preview if I do come out for the Head of the Genesee, right? Just to get
good
yeah,
idea.
come,
Yeah.
come and see it. The head of the Genesee is a really great
Yeah.
head Charles prep
Yeah.
because it is a full 5K. There's turns, there's bridges to go through, so not
Yeah.
as serious as the bridges and turns that they have at the Charles, but you get the full distance in, and you do have the opportunity to kind of work strategy as far as like what line you're taking and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
so it is a good prep if you're interested.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, great. Thanks. It was nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, you too. Yes.
Stupid with all the good things and
Yeah.
thanks for
And
coming
enjoy
on.
your time in Nashville.
Thanks. Yeah. Oh, God. Don't know what we're going to do next. We'll figure it out. But, all right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.